Here's Brody Brazil.
First off, I want to make this quite clear. I am not here to suggest that there is anything imminently bad about the Angels and their future in the city of Anaheim. Now, as for these two entities, right, like the baseball team has had its issues over time, maybe for sale, then maybe not for sale. All the while, they want to buy the stadium land. They also want to buy the stadium so that it can become a real estate development for them. Yes, it would secure their long-term future, but they see the opportunity to make a lot of money off of that location. And then there's the city of Anaheim, which has gone through several potential sales of that land to the team. And then on the home opener for the Angels this season, the mayor wrote a letter, a public letter, to Angels owner Arte Moreno. That letter was the subject of a quick discussion. I'll show you the video of that discussion the other day at a city council meeting. It got a little bit spicy between those on the council towards the mayor for this letter. Again, it came out on April 4th, which was the Angels' home opening game, and I won't read you the entire letter here from Mayor Ashleigh Aitken, Esquire, but I will summarize it here on the next page. It was basically to say that the mayor, despite what anybody might think, has no real relationship with the team or with the ownership of the Angels, Arte Moreno. She basically says you can speculate all you want, but there's really nothing to go on at all. But she wanted to change that. She proposed progress. She proposed moving forward on this, trying to figure out how to maybe sell them the land, but do it the right way and have the public input on this and do it in a very transparent manner. She also named 8 starting points for getting this process underway. One of them, in fact, the very last one, was her position, in a very strong position, on changing the team's locator, like part of their name, not the Los Angeles Angels or not the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. She made it very clear she wants this baseball team to be called the Anaheim Angels. More from her on that in just a second. She was very direct about wanting the name Anaheim and nothing else. But this was a pretty bold move. And if this was her actual first move and first conversation, negotiation with Arte Moreno, apparently on opening day, she was there. She had a quick interaction with Mr. Moreno. She shook hands, said it all went well. But if this was her first move, it's a pretty bold first move to do this out in public, right? Instead of starting the conversation behind the scenes and then maybe taking it public if it didn't go well, or maybe that's how it really happened. But regarding that Anaheim name, here's what Aitken told Bill Shaken of the Los Angeles Times, quote, "That will be a fair part of the discussions. I have always been an advocate that the Angels should have the city's name at the forefront, especially considering that our property is our largest asset." Yeah, the property that the city owns, the stadium, the land surrounding it, the rent that they allow the Angels to pay. I think it's $1 a year. It's basically free rent, and it always has been in their entire existence down there in SoCal. That is something that is a high priority for me, end quote, the name Anaheim as part of the team's name. Now, they gave a response. The Angels did. This is it, also via Bill Shaken of the Los Angeles Times. "We appreciate Mayor Aitken's letter and the desire to strengthen the relationship between the city and Angels baseball. We look forward to opening day at the Big A and the future of Angels baseball in Anaheim." End quote. That is the definition of dismissive. Or maybe they just didn't want to get into the back and forth right there. Certainly, the mayor had just come out with a full-page letter, and they weren't ready to get to all of the details in response. I suppose this is better than no response at all, but certainly it being that quick, and it looks like it was a screenshot of a text message there. So that is their official statement and response. It doesn't move the ball forward here at all in any shape or fashion. And then I bring it to the other day, earlier this week, a city council meeting for Anaheim. Watch this.
So last week, the mayor sent a letter to Arte Moreno and Angels Baseball expressing her desire to keep Angels Baseball in Anaheim, a goal shared by myself and I believe the majority of Anaheim residents. However, the letter also outlined very specific deal points for future negotiations regarding the stadium and the team. I was disappointed that the letter was sent without the input or concurrence of her council colleagues.
She's sitting right next to her, by the way.
We all know that the go-it-alone approach did not prove successful, as evidenced by the previous failed stadium deal. The city council that we have today is very different than the previous council. Time after time, we have proven to be a very collaborative spirit. We work as a team for the betterment and the success of Anaheim. Although often sharing different points of view, we have respectfully disagreed and moved forward in service to Anaheim.
You see where this is going, right?
This council has collaborated on and approved big projects together. The OC Vibe is rapidly coming out of the ground. The fruits of Disneyland Forward will generate some exciting announcements in the very near future. A new agreement with the Angels could be the next big project, but it must be done with thoughtful collaboration.
Together.
So many are quick to be critical of the current state of affairs surrounding Angel Stadium. Sacramento, media, even former council members and others. They're forgetting where we were and what this council has addressed the last several years. We have settled a lawsuit breaking ground on a new fire station. The state audit was completed. We completed one stadium condition assessment, and we are directing a second comprehensive stadium assessment about to get underway. All these issues were inherited by this council, but they're moving forward through collaboration with solutions. And together, we can do hard things.
It's a pat on the back right there.
So moving forward, the negotiation process is very important to me. And I look forward to working with my colleagues, the city manager and his team, and the Angels to develop a framework and advance negotiations. But to do before we get there, like completing the stadium assessment. And more importantly, we need to have dialogue and engage the public to determine the city's goals and priorities regarding any future agreement. This includes dialogue with the community, the staff, with the state regarding the Surplus Land Act, and with my council colleagues. So I just wanted to make it clear where I stood on this. Thank you.
And here's the mayor.
Thank you. Just as a point of personal rebuke, our charter makes me the spokesperson for the city, and I did work with both the city attorney, the city manager's office, as well as our public information officer to let them know what I was doing. I am very hesitant to ever speak on behalf of my council colleagues. Hence, you will notice in my statements, I am very specific to use the word I when it is my personal opinion, as opposed to we when it is a vote or an action by this city council. So I am not allowed to talk to my council colleagues about my personal opinions given the parameters of the Brown Act, but I am certainly allowed to voice my personal opinion on what I think is one of the biggest issues that we are going to be confronting in the next couple of years. So if there is any concern by my council colleagues, or if there is any concern by the public about my opinions, I'm pretty forthright about them, and I'm happy to talk to any of you about my personal opinions at any point. Thank you.
Wow, some clapping both ways. And if that mic wasn't attached to the podium, I think she would have picked it up and just dropped it right there. A couple big takeaways, and there is one more video to play for you from this council meeting on the 8th of April. You can kind of tell that everybody's anticipating that this is about to become a big deal. And the Angels lease, I do believe that it can be extended all the way to 2038. But you're kind of sensing something imminent here. This council realizes that in the very near future, this is something that either they want to move forward with or they think the Angels are going to want to move forward on. So they're anticipating, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do to move this forward and handle this the right way? They are a bit careful of prior arrangements. I will explain that in just a second. If you're not aware, the prior mayor of Anaheim tried to backdoor this deal for the Angels to buy the land and the stadium, and obviously he was called out on it by the FBI. The council voted it down. So they've already kind of been down this road before. That's why everybody is suggesting, hey, collaboration here might be better. We don't necessarily want you to be like our band leader and take all the credit for this and be the only voice in all of this. Everybody wants to make sure that they have a voice if they're going to be tied to the entire situation. So again, you do feel like something is right around the corner between the city and the baseball team, but they're all a little bit hesitant to fully dive in or let only one person do all the heavy lifting and do all the main conversation. But I will get some points out on that in my takeaways in just a bit. This also happened by the end of the meeting. They circled back on it. Watch this.
Perfect. And then I'd also like to, I know at the beginning of our council communications, we had some discussion around the Angels and just some of the tone in the environment lately. I know we have outside individuals like our state senators and state assembly members who have opined on how the city has responded to the Angels over the past 30 years. So I think that this is a great opportunity for us to start looking at a strategic plan, or not even a strategic plan, just what is our next step. Over the last 2 years, we've overcome a lot of issues. We had the jail report, or the investigation that was supposed to be looking into the mayor's activities with the Angel Stadium, which did not provide very much. Former mayor, yes, not our mayor, the former mayor. And then we settled a lawsuit. We were able to get access to Station 12 being built. We have actually been doing a lot of work, despite what many of our friends outside of the city have been saying about the way that this council and also staff has been reacting to some of this stuff. So I'd like to start being proactive on how we decide as a council that we're going to move forward at looking at how we are working with the Angels owner. So if we could, and I don't know if that's do we want to be very transparent, or we do always want to be transparently have this discussion as a council, how we want to proceed moving forward. I would like to agendize that for a future meeting.
And I'll share that, at our next council meeting, we have an item for strategic plan update. And so that's one of the items identified by this council as a priority. And so we'll broach the subject at that meeting, and then certainly take a deeper dive with your agenda item to move forward.
Perfect, because we haven't really had the discussion as to whether or not we are going to have a negotiation with the Angels, or what is the strategy for moving forward and directing staff to do what we want to get done on that property. That would be great. And then I'd also love to have an update on where we are with, any of the necessary upgrades that need to be done with the stadium. We've also heard a lot about how that hasn't been done. We are the owners of that stadium, so there are things that we would be responsible for and they would not be. So I just want to make sure that we're really clear on what those are. Thank you.
Yeah, so things overall are just kicking into gear, at least from the city council perspective. Like, there's no question that everybody, maybe because that letter started it, maybe because this has been on the back burner for a while, and they're feeling like, all right, this might be pretty soon a front burner thing for us. The takeaways start like this. Number one, the previous mayor, Harry Sidhu, he was recently sentenced to prison for his involvement and corruption in those Angel Stadium negotiations. Essentially, he was apparently giving the Angels inside information on the city's perspective, and in terms of the negotiations back and forth, he was basically siding with the Angels, even though he is there to represent the city of Anaheim, his constituents, the taxpayers, residents of Anaheim. So he was kind of going behind Anaheim's back to help the Angels in the negotiations. And in turn, I think his quote was that he was expecting $1 million of a campaign contribution in return. All that being said, that's what the FBI found on him, and the city council voted down anything for a stadium sale after they found all that out. But even several years prior to that, right after Sidhu had taken office, the Angels' lease was about to expire, I think during 2020 or right after the 2020 season. So the time was running out on the Angels with their lease, and the city, without any hesitation, without any back and forth negotiation, they just handed out a brand new lease for the Angels to keep playing there basically for free until 2038. They gave away all the leverage. And when I say they, it seems like the mayor did this without any real back and forth by the city council. So there is a lot of backstory here, and there are a lot of scars. I understand those scars. I understand that every city council member is very well aware of past events and how history has gone. They don't want to be a part of that again. So they're really trying to make sure that there is a collaboration. You heard that from the first speaker, the mayor pro tem, that everybody needs to be involved so that there is some group accountability here. But I will warn you, there is such a thing as too many chefs in the kitchen. Or is it too many cooks in the kitchen? Ooh, it's going to bother me now as I try and make this really good point. I'm not sure if I got this out right. Too many cooks or too many chefs, whatever, in the kitchen. You understand my point here. Instead of having a small group do the negotiations with Arte Moreno and the Angels and what can we do for you? What can you do for us? How exactly is this going to go? How does the city not get fleeced on this type of deal? They're already giving the Angels a very good home and rent situation. But how exactly can the city get a good deal out of this? And if you invite more people into those conversations, are you complicating it to the point that nothing will actually productively get done? Ask me how I know about this. I've seen this happen in real life. A sports team goes to a city, instead of having one person represent the city's interest, or even 3 people, it's 7 or 8 on a city council. And there are some differing opinions, and there are ones that drag their feet and never get anything done because they never want to get anything done, even when it's a really good deal. My point is, Anaheim needs to be especially cautious here about letting this get too wide. I understand. They want to make it so that it's not that go it alone. I thought it would be go in alone, but go it alone. They want to make sure that's not the way that it is, that the mayor is not, like I said, the band leader, the front person of the band doing all the talking for the band. I understand that, but I also think that you get too big of a group decision here and then you never get anything done really. So we'll see. We'll follow this. It's now on the agenda for an upcoming city council meeting. If there's any good takeaways from that, I'll obviously cover it here on the YouTube channel, but this is definitely something to watch. I don't think the Angels, for any reason, would ever be departing Southern California. Like, that market is just way too big and way too valuable for them as a franchise. But in terms of going somewhere outside Anaheim, I mean, if they don't get the chance, it seems like, to own this land and do what they want with the rest of it, that's what they're after. And I credit them for just wanting to stay at the site, wanting to keep their stadium. Maybe they'll fix it up. If you sell them the land, then at least they can't turn to you and ask for public subsidies. Can they? At this point, right, the city owns the stadium. The city probably doesn't want to own the stadium. They just want to make sure that they sell this land for the right price. As for what Mayor Harry Sidhu previously was trying to do, was sell that land for a super low price and kind of just get it off the city's hands and cut the Angels a very sweetheart deal. So the city needs to do right by itself and by its residents and by the mayor's constituents, but also, if they want to get something done, it's probably best to have a small group handle those talks with the Angels. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, thumbs up. That greatly helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so I can definitely see you back here next time.